Hello. Today's video is going to be on America. And America can also be called as the land of the West. And we're going to see how the Father has told us throughout his prophets exactly what he was going to do. All we have to do is dive in and pull it out of the pages. The last video was about the Ark of the Covenant and how it plays out in the end times, why it was being mentioned twice in the book of Revelation, and how it is a witness and is going to testify against us. And so we know that the Father is going to bring the Ark back onto the scene, and it's just a matter of how it's going to play out. And we know much now today with the operation of his hand and things that have been revealed. Many things are happening. And so why did he choose the West Country? Where is he telling us that he's going to do something in the West or America? And so we're going to start here in 2nd Esdras, and this will also tie into the book of Daniel with the vision that he saw. In chapter 2, he has the vision of the statue, of course, being the representations of the 4 beasts, and then the destruction of that statue, the destruction of those beasts, and it's done with a mountain that's graven without hands. And we're seeing that here in 2nd Esdras 13. And it's because Esdras is getting a deeper vision of what Daniel saw. And so 2nd Esdras becomes very important. And within this chapter, it's telling us that something major is going to happen in America. That's where this is all playing out. This Zion, Mount Zion, that we read about in Revelation 14, is in America. And so we're going to go into the prophets and see this, and see that we were told this. And so we should not be surprised that the ark is here. We should be waiting for it. We should be waiting for this moment, for the ark to manifest itself and to begin to reveal itself. It's calling us to it, back to his commandments, back to the covenant. And so this is 2nd Esdras 13, verse 35. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations. So the hill graven without hands. And we see this right here in Daniel. This is Daniel chapter 2. And right here, and the stone that smote the image become a great mountain and filled the whole earth. And then right over here, for as much as thou sawest that stone that was cut out of the mountain without hands. Just as we saw in 2nd Esdras 13, the mountain without hands. And so it becomes very important to understand where this is. Where is this taking place? And let me find my Esdras again. I didn't mark it and lost my page now. There we go. So we are in 2nd Esdras 13. And this is the hill that was graven without hands. We see that in the book of Daniel, the mountain that smote the image. That's what this is all about, the destruction of a system at the end of days. We'll just keep reading. Which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and they shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. And he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king whom Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. And this is when Assyria, they come in, they take the 10 tribes, they ultimately try to take over Judah, and 185,000 soldiers are dead right outside the Jerusalem walls. It was an incredible work of the Father. Saved Judah and King Hezekiah, a great king. But the 10 tribes, they were scattered. And they were scattered all over. They were pushed into Europe, and some of them went up into Russia. And at that time, the sea level was lower, and so they were able to actually migrate up into Canada, down into America. But then that bridge was cut off by the waters, and so they were stuck there. And so mankind, as a whole, dwelt in Europe. That's really where they were pushed to, and ultimately. But they took this counsel amongst themselves, that they would leave the multitude of heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. And so if we were pushed over into Europe and now we're going into a further country, this would be when we came over the waters into America and began to dwell here in America. This is when the ark came over, that they might keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. We wanted a second chance, and that's what the Father was giving us. America, the land of America, the Father picked out for a second attempt, a second chance. It was an unpolluted land. Man had not polluted it, and so He put the ark here, and He dwelt among us. And now here we are, 400 years later, and we're in a really bad situation. We have done wickedly. We have not kept the law. And they entered into Euphrates by a narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then showed them signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. Held still the flood. This is Revelation. When the woman fled into the wilderness and was safe for a time from the face of the serpent. This is what they were doing, fleeing from the heathen. Fleed from the multitude of heathen to go forth into a further country, that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. So he's fleeing from the face of the serpent. For though that country there was a great way to go, namely of 1.5 years, and the same region is called Arsareth. And if you look that up, it's America. It's the land over the waters. It's the land that's tied to Columbus. Columbus actually referred to Arsareth as America, the land of America. And so we know exactly where they went. And this is where they are. And the Father has always told us in the scriptures that He's going to gather His children. Where is He going to gather them from? From the West, which is also America. And so we're going to see this play out. And we'll go ahead and go into this first one. And this is in the book of Isaiah. And this is chapter 43. And we just come right over here. This is chapter 43. This is verse 1. We're coming down here to verse 4. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore I will give men for thee and people for thy life. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west. It's going to gather us from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. This is when He's calling His children from all over the world, wherever He had driven us out, but they're being gathered from the west. Why the west? Because that's where He put the ark. That's where Sion is. That's where He's going to gather us. Just as with Moses, He gathered them at Mount Sinai, He's gathering us here in Sion. And it says, everyone that is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory, I have formed him, yeah, I have made him. Oh, called by my name. There is a distinction. You must know His name. Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. And so, He's telling you, bring forth the people who have the ability to see and hear, but simply can't or won't. Let all the nations be gathered together. Let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses that they may be justified, or let them hear and say, it is truth. It's being told, who among them can declare this? We can declare this. The ark has been found. It's in America. It's in Arkansas. It's in Asher. It's called Sion. These are the former things. These are the things of old. that were ordained to come back and testify against us, because it is the covenant he made with man, and we should have never left it. It's binding. It's perfect. It's pure. It's right. There's nothing perverse about it. You are my witnesses, saith Yahuwah, and my servant whom I have chosen, that you may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no Elohim formed, neither shall there be after me. Even I am Yahuwah, and beside me there is no Savior. That's right, we are all his instruments. He is the potter, we are the clay. I have declared and I have saved, I have showed when there was no strange Elohim among you. Therefore you are my witnesses, saith Yahuwah, that I am Elohim. Yeah, before the day was, I am he, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I will work, and who shall let it? Thus saith Yahuwah, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, for your sake I have sent to Babylon, and have brought down all their nobles and the Chaldeans who cry in the ships. I am Yahuwah, your Holy One, the Creator of Israel, your King. It's beautiful. Come down here to verse 18 and 19. Remember you not the former things, neither consider the things of old. The Ark of the Covenant. We got to remember when he dwelt with us, what it meant to have his throne among us. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. He does a new thing. Will we not know it? It's going to spring forth on us. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in the west. Just like it said right here. I'm going to gather you from the west. This is Ezekiel 37. Ephraim and Judah being put together with one stick. This is Isaiah chapter 59. For he put on righteousness as a breastplate, and a helmet of salvation upon his head. He put on the garments of vengeance for cloaking, and was clad with zeal as a cloak. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay. Fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies. To the islands he will repay recompense. So shall they fear the name of Yahuwah from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahuwah shall lift up a standard against him. From the west, they shall fear his name from the west. Why? Because the ark's going to rise here. And he stilled the flood for a period of time. But just like Revelation said, the enemy did eventually cast out that flood to try to carry away the woman. But the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed up that flood. That's going to happen. It's in America. It's in the West. The Father has told us and told us and told us, and he gave us the region, and he gets us very close, but we never get an exact location. That's a secret. That had to be unlocked at a specific time. That time is now. It's happening now. You see everything in the world that's taking place. It's all coming down. It's all happening. Just as he said. It's beautiful. Where else do we hear about the West Country? This is Hosea chapter 11. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. As they called them, so they went from them. They sacrificed unto Baalim and burnt incense unto graven images, or prayed. Your prayers can be likened to incense. The smoke burns up, it goes up into the air, dissipates. It's same thing with the prayers. The prayers being sent up, and they're doing this unto Baalim, the doctrine of Baalim Baal. That's Christianity. It is the same thing. It goes back thousands and thousands of years. And ultimately, what is it? Ultimately, it's the rejection of the commandments. The taking on of false names and the rejection of the commandments. I taught Ephraim also to go
taking them by their arms, but they knew not that I healed them. Ephraim was the leader of the lost 10 tribes. Judah led the northern kingdom, Ephraim led the northern kingdom, and Judah led the southern kingdom. I drew them with cords of a man with bands of love. I was to them as they that take off the yoke of their jaws. I laid meat unto them. He shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian shall be his king, because they refuse to return. And the sword shall abide on his cities, and shall consume his branches, and devour them because of their own counsels. Notice the Assyrian, just as it said in 2 Esdras 13, the lost 10 tribes were pushed, and it was the Assyrian that did it. And this is what he's saying. This is Ephraim that he's talking about here. So it all lines up. And my people are bent backsliding from me. Though they called them to the Most High, none at all would exalt him. How shall I give thee up, Ephraim? How shall I deliver thee, Israel? Because this is how he's going to deliver us, is through Ephraim. How shall I make thee as Admah? How shall I set thee as Zeboim? My heart is turned within me. My repentings are kindled together. I will not execute the fierceness of my anger. I will not return to destroy Ephraim, for I am Elohim and am not man, the Holy One in the midst of thee. I will not enter into the city. They shall walk after Yahuwah. He shall roar like a lion. When he shall roar, then the children shall tremble from the west. Why are they trembling from the west when he roars like a lion? This is when he rises. This is when the ark rises. Yeah, they're going to tremble. They shall tremble as a bird out of Egypt, and as a dove out of the land of Assyria. And I will place them in their houses, saith Yahuwah. Ephraim compasseth me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit. But Judah yet ruleth with Elohim, and is faithful with the saints. Of course, Judah being the house of Yahushua. It's amazing. The west. They're going to tremble from the west. He's going to roar like a lion. But people mock the work. It's as if this has never been told. Where are you getting this from, you loon? Well, it's right here over and over and over if you can understand it. It's not all about just living your life and being happy and obtaining whatever you can obtain, and with your lips honoring him for a few minutes a day and expecting to understand this. It's not going to happen. We have to take him much more seriously. This is Zechariah chapter 8. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, so should it be marvelous in my eyes, saith Yahuwah of hosts. Question. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, behold, I will save my people from the east country and from the west country. You see, we can't leave that out. What is he talking about? The West is obviously playing a big role with the Father. He keeps mentioning it over and over. We've been through several prophets now. I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and shall be my people. I will be their Elohim in truth and in righteousness. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, let your hands be strong, you that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of Yahuwah of hosts was laid, that the temple might be built. We should be, even the possibility that his temple has been built and the ark is there. If anybody's bringing that forth with just the littlest bit of evidence, it should not be mocked. Not if you have the Ruach. It should not be mocked, but instead it should be looked at and said, you know what? Let's check it out, because if it is true, then it's the greatest thing to ever happen. He's going to redeem us just as he said he would. You can rely on his word if you can understand it. He's going to gather us from the West Country. My people. It's just a remnant. You know, if you have a cookie, what would you call a remnant? Most of the world does not want him. They don't want him. But there's no doubt he's gathering us. Look at what he says right here in verse 3. Thus saith Yahuwah, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of Yahuwah of hosts, the holy mountain. Most people would think, oh, Jerusalem. No, it's called New Jerusalem. Zechariah 2 tells us that Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, due to the multitude of people and cattle therein. It's New Jerusalem. We have to find that location. Where is it? It's in the west. That's what he's been telling us this whole time. Here we are, Zechariah 14. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east. And toward the west there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the south. This is the Ozark Mountains. America is that very great valley. It sits between the Appalachian Mountains and the Rocky Mountains. And then in that valley is a mountain range in which the mountain moved north and south. It's the Ozark Mountains, which is where Sion is, in the west, which we read in 2 Esdras 13. This is the instrument that is going to bring down the beast system. How? The Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant will testify against all denominations, all the lies, the graven image, all of it. All of it. This is what he's telling you in verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and try them as gold is tried. They shall call upon my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahuwah is my Elohim. It's beautiful. Because this is happening. That's why it's so important to understand what's being shown here in 2 Esdras 13. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen unto him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, they all burnt that heard his voice, like the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. It was in the west. He had never seen this region, so he can't describe it to you. He doesn't know what he's looking at. But we now know that it's in the west. The interpretation tells us right here. The same region is called Ashereth. We just read it. And so we can put this together. We can put this puzzle together. Sion shall come and be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. Daniel chapter 2. We should be expecting this. Dive into it. It's deep. We don't have much time. Many things are happening, and in one day it's going to happen, and then that's going to be it. All glory to Yahuwah. Thank you, Yahuwah. Thank you for your son, Yahushua. Thank you for truth and understanding. Your word is binding. Every word will pass. No words will fall. This is going to happen. In Yahushua's name, amen.